I saw this TikTok, uh, a couple actually TikTok videos where they were talking to Steve and Joe from Blue's Clues, and they're talking about Steve was talking about how he got the job to be Steve from and host Blue's Clues, and um, the story he was telling was that like it was between like him and like a couple other guys, but these other guys were like traditionally like handsome guys, and their screen tests were all like, "Hey, will you help me play Blue's Clues? Where's the triangle?" That sort of thing. And he was, how Steve is, like manic and a little bit like unhinged. Where's the triangle? I need your help, as you would as you should talk to kids, a little manic and unhinged. And so when they showed uh, the kids the test demos, they liked his the best. And then when they brought Joe, when Steve was going to retire, they brought Joe in, and they were doing some reads, and just to throw him off, he did like a Christopher Walken impression, and so when he was doing because this is like during like screen tests, so they brought Steve in to do a screen test, and he saw like the Christopher Walken impression, so he goes up to Joe and he goes like, "All right, hey, when we do this, let's both do Christopher Walken." So they both did Christopher Walken, and that's how Joe got the job. Hey, do you see any clues around here?
I need to go sit in my thinking chair and think.
Wouldn't that make him Christopher Sitton?
Oh.
All right, we ready?
Oh, yes.
I'm
so ready, I'm gonna die.
Oh my.
Okay. I'm gonna hype myself up with some Linkin Park in the background while I do this. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're tuning in from across the country and around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Life Midwest Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm your host, Kevin Palmer. We got our tight correspondent, Wes Shirley, down there.
What's up?
And joining me to my left or right, if this gets flipped, I never remember if it does or not, doing his little dancey thing over there. Seattle's best, but I don't mean the coffee, Lenny Wells.
Kevin, you look like you're like from an episode of Futurama. You're just ahead. Like Wes and I
joined a washed-up musician and a communications major and an Army veteran originally from the Midwest as we talk about life and events that are both current events. Very lighthearted episode this week for the most part. Really excited to talk about Linkin Park's 20th anniversary edition of Meteora being released. Why? Because not only does it mean a lot for us, and I think it was a big bonding point for us, and music's always been a very important thing to the three of us here at the show, and I think it goes without saying that one of the biggest albums to have an impact on us was this album when it came out in 2003. Wes, as someone who's really into hip-hop, what was it like to hear something that combined rock and rap in the way that Linkin Park did?
It was just like instantly good, right? Like when Hybrid Theory came out, I don't know, I was probably like 10 years old or some shit. And I was listening to like Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like a very different style of rap. And listening to like Ice Cube. Cause big D's in your mouth is bad for your health. And, like old school rap at that time. And I wasn't really like, of course everyone heard like the modern 2000s rap or whenever it was, like DMX. But like you weren't jamming to that generally. That was what they were playing on the radio. And then Linkin Park comes, and I liked rock too. You know, I was listening to like Metallica. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. And Pink Floyd. Two different versions of rock, but you know, same deal. And then all of a sudden I get like this nice raspy screaming mixed with like some crisp rap vocals. And I mean, my first CD I ever pirated was Hybrid Theory, so it was amazing.
It's a good one. It's a good one to pirate, yeah. Lenny, you have a lot more of and I know you're a very well-rounded music listener, but I know you do gravitate towards rock. Talk to me about your feelings on that.
So like when this album came out, I had like, I don't want to say like given up on music. I've given up. But like I was at a point where like there was nothing I really cared about when it came to music. Like I went through, and I think everybody that's our age kind of went through that pop phase where it was like boy bands and, you know, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. I stuck my weenie in a bottle, and now I can't get it out. That sort of thing. But I had fallen off of that, and I just really wasn't like caring or paying attention to music. And I think I want to say it was either you or Matt that told me to like go listen to this, because I think at that point I think this is basically the album that really like inspired us all to like start a band together, or attempt to. And so I listened, like I had known of the song In the End, and I loved that song, but I didn't know much more about like Linkin Park, like really in generally or at all. But then I convinced my parents to buy the CD for me, and like this is like what started me on like my real journey through music. So it was, to say it was revolutionary would be a little bit of an understatement.
I'm right there with you. For me, yeah, I had the boy bands thing going on, you know, with hold on. Oh, baby. In grade school, and I think that, you know, music wasn't at like the center of my attention, right? But it was Matt, by the way, and I know that because I remember when I went over to Matt's house one day, and they were actually listening to Hoobastank. If you remember them, their original self-titled album that was a little heavier than what people might remember them as, but it was that, and it was Linkin Park's Meteora, and I just remember being blown away. I'd never heard anything like that before. You know, my mom was very much like Pink Floyd, Seal, Matchbox 20. If everybody ever had a heart, well, it wouldn't be alone. Just a lot of the 90s alternative, you know, pop bands, you would say pop rock bands, Goo Goo Dolls. Things like that. And my dad was very classic rock. So to me, that was just kind of like what I'd known about music, but like this is kind of like broadened my horizons as to like what music could fucking be. And that was just huge for me. I remember From the Inside, off of Meteora. That was like the first one that I like on repeat every fucking time I listened to. And I actually didn't like the screaming at first. I was like, ooh, this is a lot, you know? But the more I listened to it, the more I started to love it, because I understood that it was a way of conveying an emotion almost, you know? And I just, God, I could sit here and talk about my first experiences forever, but like, yeah, like I never knew music could be what it was until I listened to Linkin Park.
Yeah, it was really a departure from like what like I knew of music. It's like even rock music at the time, because you know, my dad, from the limited time that like I would spend with him, like he did listen to like kind of like some like I don't want to say like heavier stuff, but like his rock vocabulary was pretty wide as far as breadth goes, if not deep. Like, you know, he a lot of the classic rock, but he also weirdly like really liked Three Dog Night. And yeah, but like, you know, my mom, she listened to a lot of like Southern rock, so like Skynyrd. Mama told me when I was young, Allman Brothers Band, things like that. Charlie is, I don't know how he got this, but he's like, he really loves reggae, but also like classics like Paul Simon. Oh, my mama loves me. She loves me. She get down on her knees and hug me. And like the Talking Heads. Those like his music genres are like really like wide too, but like I'd never heard like anything that, you know, at the time I would consider this heavier, not now per se, but like, you know, this is like really heavy and like to me. This is my first brush with anything that could be even like remotely considered tangentially related to metal. So but it also hit me like right at that perfect time where I was just starting to be really angsty too. So it hit all the right spots at all the right time.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, because for me, and then I'm going to shoot it back to Wes. I think for me, it was like 7th or 8th grade, so the hormones really started to kick in, and
it was 7th grade.
Yeah, and it's just you hear this and you're like, man, like this matches how I feel.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, like I didn't know that I could like put on a CD and show someone like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And I think looking back on it now, as someone who is diagnosed with what formerly would be considered high functioning Asperger's, it's already really tough to convey emotions and what you're feeling, and being able to kind of look at that with like music and convey that with music is just, God, it's just something special. I can't speak on it enough. Wes, obviously you're in the same timeline. Is that the same thing for you, or is it different?
So I think I discovered Linkin Park like as soon as like their single Crawling came on like MTV's Top 10 or like TRL or whatever. So like I'm definitely dating myself here, but like imagine 1999 or 2000 maybe, and on TRL Top 10 whatever, America's Top 10, you have like Prime Eminem.
Hi kids, do you like Primus? Wanna see me stick 9-inch nails to each one of my eyelids?
And like Marilyn Manson. And Limp Bizkit was actually really cool at that time. And like Kid Rock when he first came out. And I was just like a little heathen, so like that lineup was perfect. We had freaking, this is named Tom Green, the comedian, who was like,
my bum is on the cheese, bum is on the cheese. If I get lucky, I'll get a disease.
And that was on like the same chart that had like The Real Slim Shady and Crawling by Linkin Park and like maybe Take a Look Around by Limp Bizkit, that time period. And it was just like so good. And every time Crawling came on, I'm like, yes, this is like my favorite song ever. I had no idea like who Linkin Park was. Obviously, they were brand new. But I knew once I had a computer that like I could play with Napster with, I'm like, I'm getting this song. And I just discovered their whole CD. And I listened to Hybrid Theory just like on repeat for probably years until Meteora came out. Maybe it was like a year or two. I don't know how long it was between the two albums. 2 years.
I think so, yeah.
And then I listened to Meteora on repeat. Like Linkin Park was like, there was a time where I completely abandoned rock because I was just getting like, it was like 3 Days Grace and stuff like that. Not bad music, but like a complete change and pivot from what I was used to listening to. And like, Linkin Park was the only constant rock band that I kept like coming back to. I'm trying to think of like Papa Roach and shit like that, just stuff I didn't want to listen to. So I dove really hard into rap, and luckily Linkin Park still had, rap going on. And even though they softened up a little bit as they went on, that was still enjoyable because, it's a band I have a lot of, nostalgia with, and also they just make phenomenal music. So yeah, they were my pivoting point. Like, they're still an anchor to rock for me. When I get nostalgic and I want to listen to rock music, I throw on a Linkin Park playlist. And they get...
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. You can go.
I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just wanted to... Speaking of, like, Hybrid Theory and how, like, Crawling was, like, the first single, if you like, go back and look at the discography... I can't think of the word I'm trying to get. The song list for that album, there's, like, 8 music videos that came out of that album.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah. I specifically remember getting the deluxe edition of Meteora and watching the making of, and it was the first making of that I'd ever watched.
Yeah.
And that's when I first like became interested in like joining a band and like and like wanting to do music. And so like getting to see how that worked and what that looked like was really amazing. But I just specifically remember a part of it was an interview with Mike Shinoda. For those who don't know, the guy he plays guitar, he does piano. He's the guy who raps. He basically said, sometimes I sit down and I hear something off of Hybrid Theory, and I have to remind myself that we did that, and that just blows me away. And I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, I actually remember that experience too, because so we had a really like dog shit Dell computer as like the family computer. I didn't have like my own computer until I was in the military. But
we also had a family dog shit Dell computer.
Yeah. But like, so I remember like when I got Meteor, like I put it onto like the Windows Media Player, like, I ripped it on there, and it for some reason, like every once in a while, like Windows Media Player would just dump its memory, and like I would lose the like everything I had on there. So like every like couple months I'd have to like put the CD back into the computer, and it was like the third or fourth time I had actually loaded the disc up into the tower when it just like froze, was slow as hell, and then the making of like thing like popped up, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I'd never seen it before. It's like I'd had the album like at this point for like a year and a half, and I was just then seeing it.
Yeah, that's cool. Wes, did you ever catch the making of Meteora?
Not my thing. I don't really watch about music. I just like listening to music.
That's cool. That's all right. It's not for everybody. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk more about specifically the 20th anniversary edition. If there was any hot takes or things that you guys liked from it. And then kind of, we've talked a lot about Hybrid Theory and Meteora. I want to talk about their other discography and the rest of their work, and how much of an impact Chester and the gang has left on a lot of people's ears and hearts. So we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Life Midwest podcast. On the other side of the break, it's your host, Kevin Palmer, Lenny Wells, and Wes Shirley. Hey, if you're looking for ways to support us, we do have a plethora of ways that you can do so, including a PayPal, as it does cost money to run the show at paypal.me/thelifemidwest. I feel like I said PayPal, really weird there, so I'm just going to emphasize that and make that a joke. We also have free ways you can support us, like interacting with our social media manager, Lenny, on all major social platforms, including TikTok, that has yet to be banned, at The Life Midwest. We really need to get some TikTok clips going, because I feel like we had some really good moments from last week's conversation, and I feel like we have some good takeaways we could potentially put in there for this week's episode as well and moving forward. You can also email us at support@thelifemidwest.com, and you can check out our website at, you might have guessed it, thelifemidwest.com. Folks, we're going to keep talking about Linkin Park and the 20th anniversary edition of Meteora that just dropped on April 7th. And, the other thing I wanted to talk about before we move on and get further into the discography and those sorts of things is I remember, I had the gift of listening to Meteora first and then discovering Hybrid Theory. So I listened to Meteora and wanted more. And then I was like, oh, there is more. This is so cool. So I had that moment I forgot to share before the break. I was just really excited. I built friendships on the back of this band, and I hate to steal Lenny's wording, but it was that was just perfect wording when he said it that way. Between, with Lenny, with Matt, with all the guys that we, originally had, started a band with and started playing music together with, it was really something special. I want to go forward and talk about, the other albums after Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory and Meteora and their world tour success and, genre crossing success, Minutes to Midnight, 1,000 Suns, One More Light. There's a lot in there to unpack, but, is there do you guys can feel free to talk. I'm just going to kind of open it up. Do you guys want to, as far as you guys want to talk about, further on than in the discography, if you had a favorite portion of the discography, do you like the old stuff the most? Do you still have an appreciation for what it became, etc.? Wes, I'm going to kick it over to you first.
So I feel like their first couple albums, definitely Hybrid Theory and Meteora, are just like the GOAT of that era. Like just the best two albums I can think of from that time period that belong to them, and it's those two. I liked Minutes to Midnight. It took a turn where they didn't say any swear words, then all of a sudden it's I think they say the F word and Given Up or something like that. And I'm like, whoa, Linkin Park's evolving. And that was cool. Also, they were still nice and hard. They still made a little bit of hard music in Minutes to Midnight. But it got a little bit softer. And then 1,000 Suns was even more soft. And these days I enjoy the softer music. I can get behind some screamo, but and I'm not sure, I'm probably talking up my ass here, but I feel like at one point Chester wasn't really able to scream anymore. So the music changed due to physical limitations. I might be misremembering, but that's kind of what I thought. So it's still cool. They still made really good music, and I have to admit I still haven't listened to the newest album other than Heavy and the song that Lenny played for us.
One More Light.
One More Light. Is that the name of the album too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've only listened to those two songs. In reviewing their almost entire discography, excluding that album, in the last week, I have to say Linkin Park is depressing music. As good as it is, I left with a sad attitude. I'm like, oh wow, I gotta stop listening to this. This is affecting how I feel. It's just so raw and real. Maybe that's because I identify with it,
I think you bring up a good point, because I think it can go one of two ways for people. If for me, I think I hear something depressing and I'm like, man, they're capturing how I'm feeling, or they're capturing or conveying how I'm feeling in that moment. But I know there's other people out there like Ashley who will hear something from Linkin Park and it makes them sad. Because it's sad, it's sad lyrics or it's heavy music. And it just makes that, just makes you down and depressed. And So I think it can go one of two ways for sure.
I get what you're saying. I used to listen to Linkin Park like when I was doing a cleaning job. There's nothing that can power you through some shitty ass work like listening to some sad music. And that that pepped me up at that point. So yeah, like if you don't need sad music, for me, sad music makes me sad. But Linkin Park is also, I don't want people to take away from this. Oh, it's just sad music. Don't listen to it if you're depressed or whatever. But it got me through some really hard times because of the content, like you were talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Lenny?
So as far as like the timeline of their discographies, when Menace to Midnight came out, I actually didn't listen to it, not because of like because when that album came out, it got a lot of like commercial success, but like fans of the band were like, "Oh, they're fucking sellouts." Because if you like listen to it now and like think about the time frame it was very it I mean, to be completely honest, it does sound like kind of cookie cutter. But I was just at a point in my life where I just didn't really have time to like sit down. Well, first, I just couldn't buy it, and back then, even still to an extent now, like I'm anti-pirate when it comes to like music for like bands that I really like and support. Want to show support for, and just more generally. So I skipped over it, and then got brought on to A Thousand Suns, which I am an apologist for this album. I think it's like slept on, and people just don't get it. So that's my take for A Thousand Suns. Like, it's not one of those albums that like you can like cherry pick like songs from, even though like they did try to make like a single out of a couple of them. It's definitely something like I think more akin to Pink Floyd's The Wall, where it's like an experience that you listen to from start to finish. And that's whether or not like it was intended to be listened to that way. I think that's the problem, is that people don't listen to it that way. Living Things in 2012, I liked some of it, and others are like, okay, there's not a song in there that I actively like dislike. The Hunting Party I still haven't listened to this day because Living Things, because it was so kind of hit and miss. I didn't even know that it came out. So like I didn't know it came out until like 2016, honestly. Then One More Light I stumbled into again. I wasn't aware that they had even put the album out until I think I had heard Heavy first, and then I went into a little bit more detail a couple episodes back. But yeah, I don't know, the problem I have with a lot of Linkin Park fans is that, and this is more like I think you could apply it more generally to a lot of music fans in general, is that they only like the early stuff. People that have been around since like Hybrid Theory and Meteora, what they want music to sound like for Linkin Park, and you can say that of like really any band. The problem that I have with that is that people evolve, people change as they get older, as they experience new things. So to expect meaningful music to come and to continue on and sound just like something did back in 2000 and 2003 is just dumb. So if you can't handle that, then you're dumb. So that's my hot take.
I agree. I do want to touch on that a little bit. I think I think you have to give musicians the space to evolve, and you have to have an appreciation for it. I think, because it's not going to always be the same thing. I think another really good example is Fall Out Boy. They have gone through some evolutions throughout their time. For those who haven't listened to Love from the Other Side, their latest single, it's a fucking bop, dude. I have an appreciation for the way that they've evolved. They've gone in directions that I haven't been a huge fan of, but I think the appropriate response is, oh, I don't really care for that direction they took, rather than saying like, oh, I can't believe they took that direction. What a bunch of losers. And I think that's more so what you're talking about, Lenny, right? It's not that, you know, you can dislike the direction that they've taken, but you shouldn't dislike a band because of the direction they took or changed to.
I mean, I guess that's a way to say it. I'm gonna stand by like firm in what I said. Like, I mean, yes, it's okay to like not like a thing, right? That like a group does, but I don't know. I still feel like there should be some like appreciation for what it is. I don't know. Because like I run into this. I know this is like a Linkin Park episode, but I see this all the fucking time with Alkaline Trio. Like fans of Alkaline Trio, they want all their shit to be like, God damn it, fucking Good Morning and Here to Infirmary, and not let people evolve. But it's the same thing. I see the same shit with Linkin Park, and I really saw that when Thousand Suns came out. People were like, this isn't Hybrid Theory, this isn't Meteora, they should go back to making music that sounds like that. And those people are dumb. Because they're without people just, I don't know, people change, people experience new things, you know, and that's going to be reflected in their music. Whether or not like you like that is one thing, but then calling for, you know, for artists to go back to what made them famous is a totally separate thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking in circles, but yeah. At the end of the day, if you have about an hour of uninterrupted time, go back and listen to 1,000 Suns, start to finish, and then tell me it's bad. I don't think you can.
It's been real. It's been fun. It's been really, really fucking fun. It's time to go to the shout-outs. Wes, what do you got for us, man?
Gonna get obvious shout-out to Linkin Park. Thank you for excellent music for the longest time. Basically my entire life, 2/3 of it, if not a little more. And shout-out to... I'm gonna give a shout-out to a song. I didn't listen to every single song on the Meteora 20th anniversary. I skipped all the live shit. I don't listen to live music. But shout out to Encore Numb Remix. My favorite Linkin Park song because it's got Jay-Z on it and it's just so good. When Chester's like, what the hell are you waiting for? Oh, so good. Anyways, I'm only shouting out Linkin Park and their music this week. Everyone else is cool, and sorry if I've missed anyone, but just Linkin Park.
I want to shout out Linkin Park as well, obviously, Chester Bennington, Mike Shinoda for just being a very humble dude, and like all the videos I've seen of like people not recognizing who he is, and he's just totally cool about it. It's just kind of like funny and like genuine of him. For me, I have a Jay-Z moment too, Wes. For me, it's when they are playing "Lying from You" live, and I'm gonna send the clip, and whether Wes can put this in or not, but basically Chester like summons from like the bowels of his soul like this just demonic scream, and Jay-Z just looks over like. It's really, really cool, like seeing like that cross genre respect, you know. So shout out to that moment that lives rent free in my head. And then of course I want to shout out my amazing future wife Ashley for putting up with me listening to Linkin Park as much as I have over the last few weeks. What I told her is that this is my Demi Lovato. You know, she is just Like that is her artist, and mine is Linkin Park. The only difference is that I never got to see Linkin Park live, and she's gotten to see Demi twice. So, Lenny, how about you?
I'm gonna give a shout out to my amazing wife Brittany, who doesn't like Linkin Park.
Boo!
Yeah. Still gonna shout her out anyways. I'm just gonna mirror you guys and shout out Linkin Park. It's hard to put into words all that has come from their music, with regards to the experiences I've had and the friends I've made along the way. Just thank you for all of it. Want to shout out Matt for introducing me to Linkin Park in 7th grade woodshop. And then where we brainstormed and brainchild what would be our little high school band. Double shout outs to Linkin Park, because I can't, it's really hard to put into words the appreciation I have for not just only them as musicians, but where just listening to the music has brought me and the people that it's brought me to. So thank you so much. And just thank you.
I can't top that. So, folks, leave us a review on your favorite listening platform. Shout out to Lenny on our major social media platforms at The Life Midwest. Email us at support@thelifemidwest.com. Tell us, tweet us, Facebook us, whatever, email us. How do you feel about Linkin Park? How has Linkin Park impacted you? Has it impacted you?
Here you
go. For better or for worse. So, hey, we'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about internet scams and fishing. Wes really likes to go fishing, so I'm gonna give Wes a lot of puns and chances next week. Fuck me. I'm gonna give Wes a lot of chances to put in fishing memes and jokes next week. We're probably gonna open up with that West Virginia song, I'm sure.
West Virginia, like,
take me home, country roads, West Virginia.
Oh yeah, I don't think he talks about fishing in there, but
Mama.
take me home.
I'm gonna get the fuck out of here before I break some eardrums.
Roads.
Everybody, call your mom. No, go ahead, keep singing. West.
It's John Denver. I was trying to think of who it was the whole time.
Oh, okay.
West Virginia, country mom.
Tell someone you love them.
I just remember that scene in The Kingsman where he's the guy singing it in like his British Scottish accent.
Everyone in Thailand knows that song, by the way. Like, everyone knows "Take Me Home, Country Roads." They have to learn it in school for English.
Now you're just fucking with
I'm
us.
not actually, but fuck, I meant to throw this in. We haven't had a Learning West with Thai for a long time, so I'll just throw this in somewhere in the middle. But they have a pun for Linkin Park in Thailand.
What?
So
a pun?
Yeah, a pun. So the word for monkey is ling. And actually in their alphabet they pair a sound with a word, so la ling is one of their letters, and it also means monkey, ling. Gin is to eat, and pak is vegetable. So Linkin Park is monkey eats vegetable. Yui really likes Linkin Park, so she told me not to say that joke, because I guess people who don't like the band will say it, like, oh, Linkin Park. And she's like, no, don't. But, I did, so whatever.
Nisayama. All right, folks, we're going to get the fuck out of here. We'll see you guys next week. Call your mom, tell someone you love them, and have a good one. Take care.
Deuces.
Love you, babes.